This is Mike Titino with the Safety First Home Inspection Show.
So thank you for having me. It was an absolute pleasure. Love being here. I love chopping it up with you.
Catherine, thank you so much.
No, thank you.
I'm proud of you, man. Good for you. I like it.
This is Mike Titino with the Safety First Home Inspection Show. When it comes to your home, think of safety first. Follow me on Instagram at safetyfirsthi_. Cell phone number 516-303-5425. Today I have a very special guest. He's a rock star in the real estate industry, Mr. Dan O'Neill.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Thank you so much for coming. I know you have so much going on right now, so the fact that you took the time to come here, it really means a lot to me.
Of course. Wouldn't miss it for the world. Thank you for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure.
Of course, of course. So let's jump into it. You've been a real estate agent for how long now?
So March will be 3 years.
Okay.
So just coming up on 3 years now, and I love every second of it.
I could tell. I mean, you're very passionate about everything you do. Now, prior to real estate, what were you doing before that?
So prior to real estate, just to kind of long story short, I graduated from college. I was in the restaurant hospitality industry. I was bartending, wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I was actually going to grad school over here at Adelphi for all of about 2 months. Absolutely hated it,
Really?
hated school, hated the commute. So I dropped out of basically the Adelphi grad school, and I got an opportunity at the restaurant I was working at to become the general manager. At 22, 23 years old, I have no idea what this guy was thinking, but he believed in me. So I was working 80, 90 hours a week running a restaurant that was doing, $250,000 in revenue per weekend, a nightclub.
Sure.
I was, killing myself basically working 90 hours a week. Some days were like 9 a.m. to 4 a.m. I'm not exaggerating. So long story short, I absolutely hated it. I kind of got into a really bad rut of depression. I was drinking a lot, which I think is a little bit synonymous to the industry at times. And I just knew I wanted to change. So, I finally I got lucky, and my buddy Cameron Castronova from, at that time, A&B Mortgage was working very closely with Weichert Realtors in Farmingdale. Okay. And he had mentioned to me that they were doing like an agent open house. And he's like, if you're ever thinking about real estate, now's the time to do it. So I went to the, realtor open house, and the rest is history.
Really? So that's how it started for you?
Yeah, they hosted a new agent open house thing, just to, if you're looking to get your license, this is what you need to do. Signed up for the class. I started taking the course while I was working. So I would be like managing the restaurant, bussing tables, food running. I'd be cooking, and I'd have the class running in my office. Yeah, in my office, and I would bust a table and then come out and I would click next, or I would go take a catering order and then come back, click next.
Yeah.
So finally, as I was getting like halfway through, I knew that I was going to be quitting the restaurant, and one day enough was enough for me. My boss just said some crazy stuff to me.
Yeah.
That was the end of it. I walked out. I had about 3 months worth of rent and stuff saved up.
Sure.
And just kind of dove right into real estate. And I figured that if I put the time and energy into what I was doing in the restaurant, into my own business and being an entrepreneur,
Of course.
then I would succeed. And, luckily everything worked out, knock on wood.
Now, do you think your experience with servicing people in the restaurant business has definitely helped you transition into real estate? Because both industries, you definitely have to be a people's person, and
Of course.
So
I think they're synonymous. I think some of the most successful real estate agents or salespeople have come from the hospitality industry.
Sure.
You look at people like bartenders. Exactly. You look at like a Mike Murphy, who's one of the top commercial agents on the island. Beth Lowe, Charles Weinraub is in the hospitality industry.
He was here yesterday. Yeah.
So a lot of us came from the hospitality industry, and it's the customer service, it's the ability to put out fires, it's the ability to handle stress.
Of course.
If you've been in a bartender, a server, a manager, and you've had 30 tables and everyone's complaining, and you got to facilitate everything. You have to keep people happy. You have to engage. So I think that coming from the hospitality industry gives you a leg up.
And that's the reality of real estate too. People might see what you're doing and just think, house sold, house listed, and I feel like people gravitate towards just the end result, but they don't know what's going on behind the closed doors where deals die. And you posted a video once. I thought it was hilarious because I felt like it was real, and you were in your car, and I guess you were on the phone with another agent.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, we're going to move forward with another offer, something like that.
Yeah.
And you literally were just like, and you started cursing, and like it was bleeped out, but
Yeah.
it was perfect. I was like, that's definitely real. Like
It
that's,
was, yeah.
yeah.
That's every day.
Yeah.
You know, it's multiple times every day. And yeah, you're right. People don't see the reality of it. You know, they kind of just see just listed, just sold,
Exactly.
all of like
Yeah.
the glamour of everything.
Correct.
But they're not seeing the day-to-day struggles and the
Yep.
the drama and the stress.
Rejections.
Like, the rejections.
course.
This business is incredibly tasking. Like, it wasn't like I just, hey, I'm quitting I'm quitting, the restaurant business and getting into real estate, and all of a sudden,
Overnight, yeah.
You know, it was the furthest thing from that.
Right.
You know, you're just kind of getting like the shortened version, but
So walk us through that process, because I always want people that are on my show who have achieved, a certain level of success to talk about the grinding phase of, not just, I've sold this and that. What's
Right.
like the starting point,
Yeah, I mean, if I told you my first couple sales, like what they were, I should write a book. Really,
Yeah.
it's just comical. You know, I sold a high ranch where I had a tenant in the lower level, so I couldn't even show half of the house.
Yeah.
And that was like my first sale. My second sale was a for sale by owner that I used to bring my father around with me, and my dad has O'Neill and Wellishar, his landscape masonry name on his truck. So I went to a for sale by owner, and I used to pretend like my dad was my buyer.
Yeah.
So he would park 2 miles down the street, whatever,
Yeah.
and we'd walk up, and for me, the for sale by owner happened to be a detective. Guy looks out the window, like knows
Wow.
something's up right away,
Yeah.
and is like, what is this? And catches me, but still gives me the listing.
Wow.
So, that was a really cool experience. And listen, it was an absolute nightmare. Just getting into this business, you've dealt with it. It's very, very
100%.
tough.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is just you have to understand that it's not easy. It's one of the most difficult businesses, whether you're on your side, my side, the mortgage side. One of the most difficult businesses to get started in, to succeed in,
Yep.
and then to consistently have success.
Of course.
And if I told you how many times I want to go home and throw my phone in the sound or
And cry.
and literally and cry,
Yeah.
it's daily, truly.
Yeah.
But the outcome and the daily wins of it all
course.
really truly make it worth it.
Absolutely. And that's a good point, because I want to put it out there too that when I started out, when I got my home inspection license, luckily I built somewhat of a referral business from realtors when I was a contractor prior, but to actually scale my business, I can't tell you how many open houses I used to go to. It was like clockwork. Every weekend I'd go to
Yep.
open houses all day, Saturday, Sunday. And there were multiple times where I'd pass out my card, my brochure, and I could tell the realtors that I met were like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
But you keep showing up and you keep showing up, and that's how the traction builds, and people realize, okay, this guy's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So that, for me, that's definitely worked. Now, regarding what you do, your content, I feel like you're the only realtor that posts like outlandish shit. Like you had a listing, you were riding a horse on or something. Like, walk us through what comes to mind when you're just like, all right, what's the next thing that I'm going to film?
So, to back it up, I think it's really important in this business, on your side of things, my side of things, to be different, to be unique, and to set yourself apart. Because, to be honest with you, there are thousands of home inspectors on the island.
Absolutely.
There are over 30,000 real estate agents on the island. So how are we going to separate ourselves from maybe somebody that has a family friend in the business, or that
Yep.
has a cousin who's a contractor, or my grandmother's,
course.
10 times over removed,
Yeah.
has an agent. So how are we going to set ourselves apart? How are we going to be different? And how are we going to add more value?
Sure.
So for me, the videos were a way of me just being myself and having
Yeah.
fun and enjoying what I'm doing. Of
course.
And B, just doing something different. So when I go on a listing appointment, I can say, hey, listen, I just
You
hopped
show
on
them,
a,
or-
Of course. Of course I do. It's part of my listing
That's
presentation.
awesome.
Listen, here I hopped on a horse. Here I rented a jet ski.
Yeah.
Yesterday I rented an Aston Martin and we got 30,000 views.
Wow.
Every other agent that's going on that listing appointment versus me, I don't need to say one word about any of them, and nor would I ever.
Right.
All I have to do is just show what I can do and
Your
what I'm
legwork,
capable
yeah.
of, and then it's a no-brainer.
Wow.
And even when people like already know me or they already see the social media, so I don't even have to sell myself.
Yeah.
It's already just like a, hey, come sign it.
Yeah.
I still will go through it with them. This is what I'm going to do for you.
course.
This is, the social media. This
Sure.
is that. This is how we differentiate ourselves. So that way they're comfortable with us.
That's funny you say that, because it's the same thing on my end. At this point, I don't advertise anymore. It's strictly word of mouth. But even when I do get that call, I say, look, just to give you an extra peace of mind, do yourself a favor. Look me up online.
Right.
See what people had to say about my services. And up to this point, due to ruthless hounding of follow-ups to get Google reviews, which I'm sure you've seen.
Yeah.
So
You're way better at that than I am. I need to get on that level.
At this point, I have about 115 5-star Google reviews.
Which is insane.
But keep in mind, I'd say on average, it's about 4 follow-ups per review. Some will take 8, some will take 9.
I mean, and you're a savage with that
I am,
too. Like
yeah.
I don't have the galls
Yeah.
to do that. And I even feel so I mean, I have like a solid, I think we have like 130 reviews, but
Yeah.
like it's rare that I even ask for one. Just I don't know.
Oh, really?
I need to get it's something I need to get better at for sure.
Realtors are reaching, it's so funny. I felt like I've built it up to a point, just the whole persistence thing with follow-ups. I've had realtors DM me like, Mike, do you think it's a good idea if I follow up? I'm like, wow, like what I'm doing is really gaining traction about,
Yeah, it's inspiring.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm telling you the truth right now, honestly.
Yeah.
Like I see your follow-ups with the reviews, and
Absolutely,
it's
yeah.
something that every day I'm like, damn, like I need to follow up with Susan. I need to do this. I need to do that to try and get those reviews because that's how people look at you. It's
Exactly.
your reviews, it's your online presence, it's your social media, it's everything.
And then I also use that as a tool where, I feel like we all get those calls where people want a discount or they want a reduced commission. So I always say, look me up online. There's 100+ past clients of mine that have said it's money well spent. So if you feel like you want to go cheaper, then I'm just not your guy.
It's an investment, and I always use that term instead of I'm going to be spending this or I'm going to do that for
Absolutely.
you. It's you're making an investment, and whether it's the home inspection, whether it's the agent commission, it is the best money that you will ever spend to do it the right way.
Of course.
I'm going tonight to go speak at Teachers Federal Credit Union, like first-time homebuyer seminar.
Okay.
And like I don't have a script or anything, but in my head, I'm genuinely going to talk about using the right home inspector, using the right agent, using the right team.
Absolutely.
Whatever that may cost you in the long run, it's the best decision that you can ever make.
And speaking about cost, I always encourage people to get a videographer, film post content, and some people the first question, how much does it cost? Now I feel like
It could be free.
It could be free, but you have to look at things where what is it going to cost you to not have professionally done content and and branding, because now since COVID hit, people are networking, so now you have to have an online presence. So out of all the videos that you've posted up to date, which one had the most which one just went nuts and just had the most engagement?
So I think that's tough to say. So we did the video of the show You on Netflix. That's that went pretty viral. Then we did the jet ski in Belmore. That got over 30,000 views overnight, which was pretty crazy. We did the horse video that went very, very viral. It was a Newsday. And then I think probably a fourth top one was the pool one, where I was floating in the pool with the White Claw.
Yeah.
And I think the Aston Martin video that we're going to post for the watermill listing we have, I think that's going to be, I'll show you after this. It's sick.
That's funny.
So I think that's going to go pretty viral too. But I don't make any of these videos to go viral, to do anything. I'm just doing
it's all organic.
Right. And the thing too, like you were mentioning, like to post content, you can't look at it, how much does it cost? How much am I spending?
Yeah.
You have to look at it as how much am I investing in myself, in my business, in my brand? Because if you're not, somebody else is going to.
Absolutely.
And you're right. How much business are you going to lose by not doing that? And you're a perfect example of it. I mean,
thank you.
Over the last year, like your content has gone, I mean, I'm not going to say 0 to 100, but kind of 0 to 100. And
it's
now
a process. Yeah. Well, ironically, it's so funny that you say that about my content, because out of everything I've posted, the most content I've received was I posted a video, not even home inspection related, about electric panel, nothing like that. I posted a video simply of me sitting in my truck, and there's a song by Alicia Keys called,
right, I remember this.
Yeah, so for those who don't know,
that's mad funny.
There's a song by Alicia Keys called You Don't Know My Name, and there's like a 30-second interlude where she calls this guy up who would stop at her coffee shop that she worked at, and it starts off with, "Hello, can I speak to Michael?" Obviously, for me, my name is Mike. It fit perfectly. So I put the song on and I recorded that part, and it was almost like I was having a conversation with her, and for some reason it just everyone was engaging, and I was like, I guess that made me realize that people want to, people respond more to comedy, I guess. Of course you have to mix it with what you do, professionally, but you have to show people you're a human being, not just this working robot, online. And
it's also just the consistency part of it too, because you have to put yourself out there. So whether you are spending money on a studio or you are, professional content, even if you're somebody that doesn't have any money right now to invest in something like that, you have a phone. You can
Absolutely.
take video yourself. You can have your spouse, your mom, your dad
Sure.
film a video of you. You can actually do it yourself with the selfie camera.
Yeah.
You can literally go on Instagram, do an Instagram live, do a Facebook live. You can make a TikTok. You have a free platform to use. And for you, that video went viral and it took off,
It
right?
did,
But
yeah.
how many other videos have you done where maybe you got 5, 10 likes, maybe
Yeah.
not that many views? Like
Yeah.
we're talking about the videos that I've done that have been mega successful.
Right.
But if you scroll through my feed, there's probably thousands of live
Right.
videos, of TikToks, of whatever that nobody watched or nobody liked.
Exactly, yeah.
But if you're posting it, for that reason, then you're going about it all wrong.
Absolutely, and that video actually influenced me to I think like a month or two later, I posted this video, once again, not even home inspection related, but it was something along the lines of the importance of putting yourself in slow motion. And then I filmed this video of me cutting to like this turtleneck, pea coat dressed up, and I'm just walking in slow motion like I'm some smooth guy. And once again, I got engagement and traction on it because it was funny. And in the video, I even say like I'm not this smooth in real life, so just know that. But people feel like they it's funny.
Yeah.
So back to what you mentioned about Instagram, TikTok, and you have these platforms. So someone who just gets the real estate license, what's their first step?
That's a very good question. I think that their first step should be to brand themselves.
How?
To get their name out there. Well, there's a couple different ways. So if you're a brand new agent, you don't have any listings, you don't have any leads, you have nothing.
No network.
No network.
Yeah.
The first thing you can do is borrow or go around in your office and ask your colleagues to maybe see if anyone needs help with an open house, if anybody needs help with showings, or if you can trail them on an inspection, whatever it may be. Or if you could post out their listings. So now what you can do is you can share one of your colleagues' listings to your page as if it's your own,
Sure.
without being shady.
Sure.
But you just advertise the listing, right? You're helping the agent out by getting the listing
More
out there.
exposure, yeah.
And it's getting exposure for yourself because now people think that it's your listing, you're doing well. You can advertise and maybe get a buyer out of that. So you can consistently post out maybe some of your colleagues' listings. You do the open houses. People see that you're working, that you're in
Yeah.
the business.
Yep.
And from there, perception is reality. People are going to start to come up to you and say, "Oh my God, you're killing it." Meanwhile, you don't have any sales, you don't have any buyers, you have nothing.
yeah.
But perception is reality. So you're posting all this stuff out there. You're showing that you're working. You're going to maybe vacant houses and doing live videos, whatever it may be. Now people are going to want to work with you because they're going to see that you're doing well.
Yeah, I feel like that's worked for me too,
Yeah.
for my business, because it's one thing to be a home inspector, because like you said, there's thousands of home inspectors, but that's when I had started to, host these workshops where once a month actually Beth allows me to use one of her vacant listings, and I bring 10 realtors there. Most of them are new, and I do a full walkthrough from top to bottom, inside and out, just to pay it forward to
Right.
the realtors, because you guys are the ones that trust me, hire me. So last thing I want to do is just be with my hands,
Yeah.
So if I could, pay it forward and give you guys more knowledge, I feel like that alone would help increase your sales,
Right.
the more that you know about maybe a boiler, whatever the case is. And
Of course.
Eric Braun is there too, so he actually engages as far as the mortgage standpoint goes. So deals don't go south last minute. So
Yeah.
so aside from that, you've been to one of my dinners as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's another thing that I do, because I want to feel like the people that I'm working with, we're all friends at the end of the day, not just colleagues, and
We all support each other. We root for each other.
Exactly. So once a month I do that, so we could all just like kind of turn our brains off from just constant work mode and
Yep.
things like that. So
Yeah.
so up to this point, you've been in the business for 3 years. You've built a team, the O'Neill team. How many realtors do you have now?
So we went from just myself to 4 to 6 to 8 to now we just brought on Christina. So we have, I believe, 11 agents now.
Is there a
Which is
certain
crazy.
number you're going to stop, or you're going to keep expanding?
It's everyone keeps asking me that. When I had 3 and 4
Yeah.
and 5, I was, I didn't want any more,
Yeah.
and then it's continuing. But at the end of the day, I'm not recruiting. I'm not going out there and seeking people right now. And
They're seeking you.
Everybody has been organic, and
Yeah.
everybody has to be a good fit. Everybody has to have the same goals, the same ethics, the same work ethic.
Sure.
They have to be a perfect fit for the team. So.
Sure.
I don't really know where it's going to head. If you asked me last
Yeah.
year, I wouldn't have.
You wouldn't know, yeah.
Exactly. So the sky is the limit. But
So you mentioned it all happens organically. Now, let's say someone reaches out to you. Now, do you have like a formal interview process where they come into the office and you kind of say, you know, this is what we're looking for? Like, how does that work? Like,
So luckily and fortunately, a lot of the people on my team, like I either knew previously, or you know, I helped get their license, or maybe I went to school with them, or maybe I knew them before. So that's kind of, you know, where half the team has come from, and then the other half is an interview process.
Sure.
And maybe they come from somebody that referred them, somebody that I respect very much.
Sure.
Maybe they come from within the office, and you know, they come highly recommended, or this person's going to crush it. They just need some help. So yeah, there is an interview process, and you know, listen, I can't take on everybody, and I don't want to either, because unfortunately in this business, the turnover rate and the amount of people that fail out in their first year, I believe, is like 90%.
Yeah.
And then the second year is even one of the two people that survived out of that fail out. So I never want it to be like a revolving door on my team. I don't want to. I don't want to bring people on where maybe 5 people are succeeding and then the other 5 aren't.
Right.
Like if I'm going to bring on another person,
all or nothing.
It's everyone's got to be succeeding. And fortunately, like out of everything that we've done, truly, out of everything I've accomplished this far, the coolest thing for me and like what makes me the happiest and most proud is that all the agents that joined up with me are crushing it. They're
awesome,
making 6 figures. They're doing their own deals. They're buying the car that they want. They got out of their full-time job.
Yeah.
So for me, that is the biggest thing. And I'm not going to continue to grow the team until everyone is doing that. And it's tough, man. It really is, because it's all about the time and the energy that you put into it. And of course, we can only do so much in regards to pushing them. But that really is like the coolest thing for me, is seeing them succeed.
Absolutely. Now, do you personally, I guess, mentor each agent, or do you have someone like yourself that if you're not available and someone has questions, or is it all a team?
It's,
you know what I mean?
It's me right now.
Yeah.
You know, I definitely need help, and I need to bring on some more admins and assistants and so on and so forth. But it's really me. I mean, I'm going on the listing appointments with them when I can. I'm helping them anytime they have advice, putting offers in. I try and do one-on-ones with them as much as I can. So it's really, you know, I'm in the trenches with them. And I think more than anything, that's what they all love and respect too, is that I'm right there with them. I'm there every step of the way. Anytime they need help, 10 p.m., you know, 6 a.m., whatever it is.
Of course.
And I think that's very important. We have such a good culture that it's like, we all haven't had our license for 5, 10, 20 years. We all haven't had, you know, 400, 500 sales, but we all get along so good, and the culture is so amazing that it makes everyone succeed.
And that also attracts more people that want to be a part of that culture. Now, I realized too, you have a connection with the broke agent.
Yeah, my boy Eric.
Yeah, so I have a funny story with the broke agent, but how did you guys get connected?
Social media.
Social media.
We got connected via social media, and the rest is history. Now he's one of my, I talk to him every day.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So this was probably 5 or 6 years ago. The broke agent was in New York, and he posted something just like, we're in New York, does anyone have recommendations? And I'm the kind of person, I'm just like, let me message this guy.
Yep.
And long story short, I ended up in New York City with the broke agent. And
Eric?
We hung out. It was me and Eric. We hung out like the whole night.
No way, really?
Like, it wasn't like, you know,
awesome.
like we just bumped into each other. Like, I was with Eric the whole night. It was
really
like,
funny.
And he is exactly who, like, the content that he posts, like, he really is like that funny person. I was like, that's too funny. Like,
that is like his exact personality. That's exactly how he is. There's no, but that's the best way to be too, is be genuine. So on your social media, on your videos, you know, you're yourself. And
absolutely. Now
when people look at your Instagram, your Facebook, they get to know you without actually knowing you.
Right.
So now, like me and you have only hung out maybe 3 or 4 times, but I feel like I know you. We talk on social media.
Yeah.
So now when you're going on, you know, a listing appointment on my side of things, or if you're competing for maybe an inspection, or you're trying to get an agent's business, they already feel comfortable with you. They already feel like they know you, and they already feel like they can trust you.
Of course. And speaking of social media, I feel like the good dynamic about you and I is that within the last year and a half, 2 years, I'd say, you and I have definitely hit different milestones. Whether I think you just hit one yesterday, I think, right? Yeah. So tell us about that.
Well, so yesterday we put out our first celebrity listing, the biggest one that we've ever put out, for about $3.4 million in Watermill.
Can you disclose the celebrity or no?
No.
Oh, you can't? Okay.
No,
but
not yet.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I feel like each milestone, whether it's your milestone with your listing, my milestone, whether it's my 100th inspection or whatever the case is, we're always cheering each other on.
Of course.
Or I'm starting a podcast, you're starting the podcast. So I feel like just the group we're in, we're always elevating. And Charles brought up a good point on the episode that I had with him. There's always one person that will comment like, "Oh, no one cares," or like,
Right.
I don't know if you've ever experienced that, or but there's always one person that just has something negative to say about what you're working towards.
Right.
How do you address that?
I would probably just say to, ignore it. Listen, at the end of the day, you're always going to have people that are unfortunately maybe unhappy with their lives, so they're going to be a little bit jealous of you. You're always going to have haters. You're always going to have people that maybe make fun of you. And if I told you the amount of people that when I told them I was getting into real estate laughed at me or made fun of me or, told me it was kind of a joke or a used car salesman, those same people are now the ones that are commenting on my videos, are the ones that are DMing me on my stories and asking for advice or asking for help or, hey, I'm getting my real estate license. Can I join your team?
The irony.
So, right, the irony. And the biggest thing that I can say, and I've truly mean this, karma comes around, and it's the energy that you put out into the world. So the same way that I support you, you support me, we support everyone on social media, we put out that positive energy into the world, that energy comes back to you. If you're somebody that is going to be cutting corners, if you're somebody that's going to be hating, you're somebody that's going to be putting it out, that negative energy, it's going to come back to you tenfold. So the best thing to do is just ignore those people. Continue to do what you're doing as if nobody's watching. So be a good person on social media, be a good person when nobody's around or nobody's watching. And ignore those people, because at the end of the day, they're going to be the same ones that are calling you up 6 months, 8 months, 2 months later, asking for advice or asking for help.
And one thing I definitely admire about your journey is you go full swing and you're very confident in your moves with the videos that you're posting, the listings you're getting. I feel like you just bet on yourself like 100%. Like, you don't think of what if this goes wrong. Like, you're just like, no, we're gonna move forward, and that's it. So what's the mind frame, taking these steps?
So I live by this quote. I should get this tattooed on my forehead. The only way that you are going to fail is if you let yourself fail. So again, the only way that you are going to fail is if you let yourself fail, and you're never going to.
Right.
So the confidence is just because I've educated myself, I've done the training, I do this every single day. I eat, breathe, sleep real estate. It's my obsession.
Right.
So the confidence is not like an arrogance. It's not a cockiness. Like, I'm the most humble person in the world, but I know going on every single appointment that I am the best at what I'm doing, and I truly feel that. So it radiates, maybe social media or whatever it may be. And of course, we're going to be learning every single day, and maybe I'm not the best objectively, but I truly feel that I am prepared in any situation that I go on, buy or sell or whatever it may be, that I'm going to do an amazing job.
Do you feel like at this point, with all of the traction, momentum that your business has been getting, do you see the market slowing down like anytime soon?
Of course. I mean, eventually the market's going to have to slow down. Since I've been in this business, it's been nothing but crazy. It's been nothing but a seller's market. So of course the market's going to shift, and we're going to have to shift with it. But I think this past year has been a perfect example of that, because the market changed for, I guess, in a better way, almost like it got more crazy.
Definitely did.
Our lives changed, everybody, whether you're in real estate or not, tremendously this year.
Yeah.
So we all had to adapt, adjust, and the fact that you and I are doing this, the fact that you and I's business doubled, tripled, quadrupled during this time just goes to show you that whether or not the market stays the way that it is, if it crashes, if it whatever, people like us are going to succeed because we're doing the right thing. We're putting ourselves out there. And,
there was a point in time this past spring, actually, spring and into the summer, where I would pull up to a house to do a home inspection. I would be there for 5 minutes, and no exaggeration, I would get at least 3 to 4 phone calls for four separate inspections.
That's crazy.
And I have other inspectors that cover me because I can't be everywhere at once, obviously.
Right.
And they're all booked. And they're calling me now for 4 more, and I'm like quadruple booked, like 3 days in. I'm like, there's no way I can't handle this.
I know. You need to clone yourself.
Yeah. I wish. I mean, that's going to be one of my goals down the road, because obviously, just like you as a business owner, I can't be everywhere. And so, but for my process, there's actually 2 people right now that I grew up with in the construction industry. So anyone who I hire, they're going to have at least 10 years background in that field alone. So I want to just add the value and the experience to my team, because construction's a lot.
Yeah.
And if you don't know the components of a house and things like, I mean, it's someone's biggest purchase. So
Of course, and it's also it goes back to you. It's your name. It's realtors
100%.
messaging or calling you, and they trust you. So those people are a direct correlation to
100%.
you, and
Yeah.
that's something with my team too. Is when I'm going through it, like I have to
Yeah.
make sure that these people are going to represent me and the team and
Absolutely.
everything that I've built and busted my tail for.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing for you. You know,
Yeah.
you have to surround yourself with the right people.
yeah, and luckily, the people that I'm around in that field, they would never tarnish my name or neglect a client because they know the importance of
Yeah.
the reputation that I've worked so hard for. And you know, so what is the craziest real estate experience you've ever encountered up to this point?
The craziest.
I'm sure you have a few.
All right, so I think I have two. One is, I mean, I don't even know if I can say this, but
You have to now.
yeah, I mean, I guess so, right?
Yeah.
All right, so one of them is, I'm trying to figure out how I can say this without. One crazy real estate experience was a haunted house,
Legit haunted house.
legitimate haunted house. So that was incredibly, that was crazy.
Like rocking chair, like
Yeah, like rocking chair, like both myself, my investor and my investor's partner all saw things separately. We never mentioned it to
Oh.
each other. We had a GC that actually quit on the job because he was so spooked, and none of us told each other until the end.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then maybe the other one was my father purchased a foreclosure, like a flip, and he like bought it, you know, I guess at the auction or something, and then went over to the house, and we didn't know anything at this time, so we thought it was, hey, you just bought the house, it's cool to go
Yeah.
in. So we were like walking around the house, like right after, right? So we went to the auction and then went to the house, and we were walking around, and all of a sudden, like, we hear freeze, and we're all like, and all of a sudden, like, you know, 10 detectives with like the chain lanterns
Yeah,
come
yeah.
in, like with their guns drawn, like,
Whoa.
what are you guys doing? And we're like, oh, we're so sorry, like we
Yeah.
don't know, you know, we just bought it. And
Yeah.
so that was pretty crazy. And then I guess maybe the last one was the squatter situation with Charles a few
I
weeks
heard
ago.
about that, yeah.
We got a call at around midnight that there were squatters breaking into one of Charles's flips.
Terrible.
So we all raced there at 12:30 at night,
Yeah,
and 15 cop cars. We had to get them out. That was pretty crazy too.
That happened to me recently. There was a property that I was flipping, and we had the final walkthrough scheduled on a Tuesday. No, I'm sorry. The final walkthrough was scheduled on Monday, and the closing was on Tuesday. It's Saturday night. It's like 10 o'clock at night, and the buyer calls me up. She's like, Mike, I was just driving by the house, and there's curtains up, there's cars in the driveway. I'm like, no way. I'm like, obviously, I had to fly down there, and luckily, they were only there for like 2 to 3 days, so I guess they didn't have really much to say, and
Right.
so we got them out that night. But it took a couple hours. Like they had furniture in
Yeah.
the house, they had beds and I was like, and they were smoking in the house. I was like, this is insane. But
We got really lucky with Charles because the buyer drove past the house at like 10 p.m.
Yep.
and they said that they rented the house. So the buyer was like, did Charles rent the house like a week before closing? And obviously no.
Yeah.
So we got there and they'd only been there for like 2 hours, but they
Yeah.
broke a window, they did damage.
Yeah.
Like we were there all night, basically
Yeah.
getting, having the cops get out there. But if we didn't get there that night, the way that squatters' rights work in New York, Charles would have been in a lot of trouble because those people could have stayed there for a very long time.
really, so I heard, if I'm not mistaken, there's like a certain, what is it, like a 10-day period or maybe 30-day period or something where now if utilities start to get transferred into their name, then it turns into like a whole nother.
And these people are professionals. Like
Yeah.
they do that like every day, and
Cash.
they'll change their license over so they're
Yep.
getting mail to the house, so you can't get them. Like it's crazy.
That's insane. So with everything you're doing now, with such a high volume business, so demanding, and I feel like it's very easy if you're not passionate, where you can burn out, you can feel exhausted and drained. So where does your passion come from? Like, what keeps you still motivated every day to wake up and still?
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I definitely suffered. I definitely had some burnout. I think it's an interesting term, but I mean, no matter how much you love the business, right? If you're working 9 days a week and 100 hours and just the constant, issues and tasking, and if you're not giving yourself the balance, like last year, I remember you went to LA for a week, and
Yes,
right, and
that was
and we were
amazing.
talking about it.
Yeah.
That was a great. You went to Vegas, like
I went to Vegas, Grand Canyon.
right.
I did
so
everything. Yeah.
you have to do those types of
Yeah.
things, and I think I I didn't this year because of everything going on and not being able to travel. I didn't really take much time off at all. I didn't go on any vacations or anything. So I think because of that, I did suffer from a little bit of burnout, no matter how passionate or amazing you feel for the business. So I think that it's very, very important to give yourself that break and I mean, listen, I'm giving you advice that I don't take myself, but I'm self-aware of it, so it's something that I'm definitely going to work on this year and work towards. But, I think that you really have to be careful. You have to set boundaries. You have to take those weekend vacations. You have to be able to get away from it for a little bit. And if not, you're going to have burnout.
Now, I'm sure you suffer from, what is it called? FOMO, fear of missing out. So I'm at a point right now where I feel like every winter I like to just get away, get a tan, enjoy the sun. But I feel like if I leave, like, what am I going to miss back? Just work-wise, I'm like, so that's my battle in my mind as an entrepreneur. So it's tough. So what are some things outside of work that you would do to just like de-stress? And I know you golf, right?
Yeah, so that's kind of like my biggest thing is trying to get out and golf just for a couple hours, just to kind of clear my head, put my phone down. And really it's just traveling. It's something that I never got to do necessarily as a kid that I've always wanted to. I want to travel the world. We always go to Mexico every year. We go to Cancun. We try to go to LA for a week or a weekend, but that's really the biggest thing is just golfing. And I just like just not doing anything, spending time with my family, with my dogs. And, I'm kind of a simple person that way.
Now, that's definitely needed. Now, the good thing about what you do is that not only have you reached the top of the real estate industry.
Not yet.
I feel like you have. But
well, thank you, but
you also give back. So that's very important to the O'Neill team, your community. What are some things that you guys have done to help out families?
Yeah, so starting since I was a child, I mean, I grew up with philanthropy. I grew up with giving back. My family was never had money really like that. I was a middle-class family. My mother was a hygienist. My father had his own business, but I would always remember when I was a kid going to soup kitchens and with my father and going to homeless shelters and doing some outreach with different organizations where they would organize maybe like a big tractor trailer, and we would go to a parking lot and we would hand out food. So I grew up on it, and
it's very rewarding.
It really is. And I never 2 years ago, we organized an event at my buddy's restaurant where we had, I think, over like 250 families come for Thanksgiving. We fed them, whether they were homeless, whether they didn't have anywhere to spend the holiday with, whatever, whether maybe they didn't have families to be with that day. Whatever it was, that was the first thing that I organized myself, and it was truly the most amazing feeling in the world. Then we did a holiday toy drive for Stony Brook Children's Foundation. It was awesome, such a rewarding feeling.
No dry eyes.
No.
Yeah.
And then this year, obviously, everything got a little, we couldn't do those things.
Yeah.
And so we shifted our gears to, in the beginning of COVID, we raised and donated about $20,000. We went to local restaurants and, bought these amazing dishes and plates of food. We went to Stony Brook, Mather. We went to all the different hospitals locally. We would feed the night shift. We fed the one shift. It became like addicting.
Yeah,
giving back, and like the feeling of like the veterans home, like all the nurses. They all comment on my Facebook and my Instagram and stuff still.
That's awesome.
That they're so grateful for it, and it's the best feeling. And then more recently for the holidays, we did a $10,000 give back where we took 10 families and we took them to Target, gave them $1,000 each, toys, food, whatever they needed, bills. And, I never really posted about it, but what I'm learning now is posting about it is inspiring other people to do the same.
Take action,
And it's not a matter of like wanting recognition for it or any of the above. Like when I tell you some of the stuff that I've done, I've never shared this. So like there was one time, my dad will tell you the story. I forget what it was, but I was driving home and I saw somebody outside of like Taco Bell. He was in like a sleeping bag, clearly homeless. I didn't have any money. Like I'm not exaggerating. I had maybe $12 in my account. And he knows the story because I had to ask him for money. So this kid's sitting outside Taco Bell. He's clearly homeless. He's like rail skinny. I go to Taco Bell. I get my food. I'm sitting there. I'm like, crap. How am I gonna eat this? Like I got to give this to this kid. So literally like no money. I give him whatever, and then I go back to my house and I'm like, this kid's gonna freeze his ass off tonight. I give him clothes from my closet. I gave him my blankets, my comforter, like everything, and I brought it back. And the reason my dad is the only one that knows that story is because I had to ask him to drop me off a pillow and blanket, and I needed money for food because I gave my last couple bucks. But I've never shared that with anybody, and I don't share that to do anything. It's just listen, at the end of the day, our business is very successful right now, but tomorrow something could happen and it could all go poof.
Yeah.
So we could very easily be in that situation outside Taco Bell or needing help. So it's something I'll never forget.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's a great point, because I think too, what drives my business is the purchase of real estate, obviously yours too, but we can't forget about people who can't afford housing or things like that. So my good friend, Regine Davis, thank you, Regine, for introducing me. But I'd say about 7 or 8 years ago, I started going with her to what's called the Bowery. So that's a shelter in Manhattan. So every Christmas, maybe like a month in advance, she would start collecting clothes, donations for food, things. Restaurants would supply hot trays of food, and then every Christmas morning we would set up the whole like buffet style table outside the shelter. And then we'd have boxes of clothes we'd give out, and we didn't do it this year obviously, but the year prior, at the very end, we're all cleaning up, and there was one homeless guy, and he said, you know, if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't have this coat on my back right now. He's like, you guys took the time to spend Christmas with us when you could have been with your families, in a warm house, this and that. And I was like, man, that's
we talked about
crazy.
it at the dinner that we did most recently. Like, it's just the most rewarding feeling, and it really, it takes away the I guess like the value of the money thing, right?
Absolutely.
Like, if you're able to give back and you feel, you know, it's a freeing feeling to do so.
Sure.
And it's something that everybody should implement, whether you're making X amount of money or Y amount of money. To do it is really, it's life-changing.
Of course. And I started doing that with her, I'd say 7, 8 years ago. And ever since then, I was like, I don't think I could spend a Christmas doing anything else.
That's amazing.
Because of that. So with all that being said, Mr. Dan O'Neill, cannot thank you enough for being on my show. How can people follow you, connect with you, reach out? What's your handle, your contact information?
So thank you for having me. It was an absolute pleasure. Love being here. I love chopping it up with you. We got to do this again. I got to have you on mine. So if you want to follow me, my Instagram is at Dan O'Neill _ DANONEIL _, and Facebook's probably the same thing. YouTube, TikTok, whatever.
Check this guy out. He's amazing. Rock star in the real estate industry. Thanks again, Dan.
Thank you for having me, bro.
No problem.
You're the man.